Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to another Dead by Daylight Creation Review. I know I ain't been doing these much, but we are going to start up again. The PTB for Sadako and everything else is slowly passing, if not already done. All the other content will probably be implemented by March, and we can go back to the old normal schedule. Let's see what we've missed out on. Maybe we missed a banger or two. Let's see. An idea for the thing from the Addams family? um, Somebody made a killer that's easily counterable by Survive with Friends. So, yeah, it's a mimic type killer. Interesting. I'm not going to go over this because, well, this is very short, so it's probably not even well thought out. I had to go through the long way. Go here. Pop back out here. Let's try the next one. The thing would be an interesting thing. Thing would be an interesting thing, of course, because it's called The Thing, you fool. FNAF chapter. Another FNAF concept. Oh boy. Oh boy, it's a William Afton Springtrap thing again. Of course, everybody picks Springtrap. Come on, y'all. How many Springtraps are we going to have? And it's Springtrap and Glitchtrap. And he's using his Haywire, his newer powers and things that he got from the new game. Quite frankly, I'm tired of doing them because every time somebody does do them, they are absolute dog shit. Somebody actually took the time to write a good concept over it, I would gladly go over it, but we ain't getting those. This is from the past. Dbd chapter, Into the Void. Again, I'm not clicking on anybody's random links. It says Reddit, but you never know. This could be ran through an IP tracker or an IP picker and then sent back, and anybody clicks on this, he could pull your IP or anything else. Yes, I'm running a VPN, but still. Oh, let's see. It's already, what, 2, 3 down? Really no effort put in? Or it's trying to take you to another site. This is literally the creations forum. If you want to post something for behavior to see and all of that, post it to the creations forum, not Reddit. Reddit's not going to get you anywhere. Instead of getting an upvote, I'd rather be put into the actual game, but I guess that's just me. Just desserts perk, so it's just a perk. I can run with that. Perk name, just desserts. You've been more abused than you've ever been loved, and it's time to share a delicious treat. 1. This is code. If you're writing code or doing something like that, or if it's even acceptable to put down extra things at the bottom, if you run out of italicize and all the other different headings that the creation forum has, you can write everything in like this code text. You don't want to start off using it because it looks bad. It's primarily made for code and anything like that. So this you would like to see towards the bottom of the list and everything like that, having extra things because, well, it looks horrendous. Definitely should have just italicized this and then left it in quotation marks. Anyway, Each time you're stunned by a survivor, receive a token. You can earn up to 6 tokens. With at least 3 tokens, approach a downed survivor and press the active ability button to spend 3 tokens. You force the survivor to eat a poison treat and a timer is set. The force-fed survivor cannot be picked up by the killer, and the timer does not start or count down if the killer is within 16 meters of that survivor. Only 2 survivors can be force-fed at once. Okay, as of now, we're looking at a pig reverse bear trap. But you can only use 2. But only getting 2, the killer cannot pick up the down survivor. So that's very weird on multiple accounts. If the down survivor does not get out of the dying state within 30 seconds, the first time they're hooked, they're instantly put into hook stage 2. So not only are you making camping down survivors better and easier and worthwhile, because now you just have a slugging killer. I'm going to knock you the hell over, take a Twinkie, shove that shit down your throat, and then laugh at your obese ass for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to walk away. As soon as they pick you up, I'm going to come back. I'm going to slap you down again and hook you. You're going to go straight to stage 2. And then from there, you're either going to get camped out or they're just going to go about their day because they just got 2 phases on you, which is a minute. It takes 60 seconds a phase. There's 2 phases, and then you are on your death hook. So you can spend, well, at 2-minute mark, you die. So you can spend 119 seconds on the hook before somebody has to pull you off. You can add 30 seconds to that if you're running kinship, previously known as camaraderie. And you can add time to that if a survivor gets within like 16 meters or something like that of you. This is definitely not a perk at all. This would be part of a killer's move set. You imagine any killer in the game can just shove Twinkies down your fucking throat and then send it. Crazy. My classic example is a basement camping Bubba. Only thing he's gonna do is just knock you down, shove a Twinkie in your mouth, leave you on the basement floor. Now it takes, I think, 3 minutes to completely bleed out in Dead by Daylight. Either 3 or 4 to completely bleed out on the ground. So it's actually in the survivor's best interest to just kind of crawl away and leave. Which is the second reason I'm going to bring up why this perk really ain't that good. The force-fed survivor cannot be picked up by the killer. So what you're saying is this killer has to essentially slug this person and go wherever this person's going for minimum the next 30 seconds. Recovery time takes about, it's like 16 seconds or so. Roundabouts there before you can get back up on your feet. Actually, no, I think recovery time's been changed to 32 seconds, the same as self-care time now. Unless you have add-ons and all of that to get up faster. But if you have a killer standing on top of you while you're slugged, not picking you up because they can't or anything like that, then the only thing you really can do is just crawl over to like a pallet or something and then recover. Once you've recovered, or whatever pseudo thing happens, your survivor teammates can just walk over, pick you up, you drop the pallet, the killer can't really do anything about it. So, making it to where the survivor can't be picked up after giving them this treat it's kind of a bad idea. You should automatically pick them up and give them like a deep wound timer or something like that, since it's poison, and then let it be counterable. They have 30 seconds to go and cleanse and do whatever they need to do. Or they get, some sort of negative effect. Or you can make it a stacking effect that stacks over and over and over and gets worse over time until they eventually get exposed, which I mean is the one hit downs, by the way. But, you know, people don't generally take time nowadays on this forum to actually expand their idea out. They just kind of list the first thing that pops into their head and then they walk away. My main idea for this perk is to pair it with a perk I think is collecting dust, and that is Deer Stalker. Actually, a lot of people run Deer Stalker. Deer Stalker allows you to see the auras of people that are slugged on the ground. When you're within, I don't really remember. 16, 24 meters, something like that. 12, 16, 24. X amount of meters. It's fairly far out, so I mean, you can really easily come back to somebody you slugged. Deerstalker is not collecting dust. Just because you don't use a perk doesn't mean that it's not being used. Deerstalker is ran a lot, and I noticed that it's run a lot because killers generally, who are like Legion and things like that, want to be able to find the survivors that they've knocked down or haven't mended properly, etc., etc. Or if you have a gank squad or something like that. No, why? Knockout and only good against solo queue players. Knockout's another good perk that goes well with Deerstalker. Knockout, when you knock somebody out, they get this deafening effect, and all the survivors on the map cannot see the location of the downed survivor for a little bit. So if you are quick at knocking them down and picking them up, and taking them someplace and hooking them, the survivors really won't know where the heck you've swooped them to, and you would get quite a lot of time of their hook gone from them if you use knockout efficiently. I understand your concerns, or even so, but still put pressure even on Survive with Friends. It's not. Anybody playing Survive with Friends, as soon as they see that somebody's got a Twinkie stuffed down their goddamn throat, they're just going to crawl away. They're going to tell all the rest of their buddies and the Survive with Friends that, hey, he's camping me right now. Do generators. Generators take 80 seconds, but if you have 3 survivors completing 3 generators in 80 seconds, and by this time, you got to keep in mind the killer has to walk to the survivor, they have to chase the survivor through loops, they have to hit the survivor twice to down them, unless they're running some other type like Ghostface and get a marking. And then they have to stuff the Twinkies down their throat. So in theory, any survivor that's good at looping, by the time you down that survivor and Twinkie stuff them, 3 generators are already going to be popped. If you are ballsy enough to stand over that one survivor that you knocked down for 30 seconds, that is 30 out of 80 seconds, on 2 other gens being done, and now they have a free survivor that can come save their friend. He's already lost a state because he's been on the ground for 30 seconds, so there's no point in picking him up until like the 2-minute mark of him being on the ground. 2 minutes, that's 120 seconds. That's a gen and a half. So by the time they pick that survivor up, or if they just say, screw it, let him lay there because he has like 3+ minutes of bleed out time, which I think it's 3 minutes. They can easily double team one of the last gens and get that gen done in 44 seconds right after that. So by the time 2 minutes have passed, they could have 4 generators done on you. And they can gangbang the last generator if they want. That's another 33 seconds, or they can go for saves and things there. Because nobody really has any hooks except for the guy on the ground. You'll technically have 2 hooks. 2 hooks on one survivor with 1 generator left. That killer that uses this perk is going to be absolutely, positively dusted. Just because a team has communication doesn't necessarily mean they have good communication. Dead by Daylight ain't Rocket League. The whole point of the communication factor of Survive with Friends being powerful is that you can say, well, you don't even have to say, if somebody screams, you know that the killer is on that person. Somebody screams, somebody makes any kinds of noises, somebody's like, oh, he's after me, or screaming, or any of that. Everybody else in that Survive with Friends know I am free to do my generators. I'm not going to get picked off a generator by a Michael Myers or a Ghostface or anything like that. Any kind of communication is better than communication. They can be making clicks and snaps with their hands and things like that. You still would know things are happening. The only way to get that kind of information is running empathy. So you're essentially, even with crappiest communications known to man, still are saving a perk slot that you would need to find out where that killer is. That's important. So even a team that has terrible communication is still better than just randoms. This guy is oversimplifying Survive with Friends. They're not godly beings. It's not a gank squad. There's a difference between gank squads and just SWF. I play SWF with Macho occasionally on Dead by Daylight, and guess what? It don't mean an escape the entire time, but it means location of killer and what other people are doing happens a lot more often. Even though I've always been a better solo player than an SWF player. So I mean, if he gets hooked, I now have to make that attempt to try to get his ass off the hook. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just opening the door and then leaving. But with Behavior's new rank system, where it's based off of the medals and everything, it doesn't matter if you die, you'll still rank up if you do what you're supposed to do. But just to butt in, but what do you actually think of the perk besides SWF or not? Yes, yes, I am. LOL. I like doing things wacky, but why would you reply back to 2 different people in one post? You're a weirdo. But okay. Most perks get debunked by SWF. Most people nowadays don't play Dead by Daylight unless they're playing with a friend. The load times can get up to 20 minutes, sometimes even more, at specific times of the day or night. So you have to play during where everybody else is on, or you're going to have a problem. Well, you have to play when killers are on, is what I should say, or you're going to have a problem. Survive with friends is more common than a bunch of randoms. But a perk that's reliant on somebody leaving that person on the ground and never coming to save them is a bold perk, which shouldn't even be a perk. It should be part of a killer's power. So nobody even pointed that out. That, hey, that's not a perk, that's power. Fanmate chapter, The Witch's House, The Diary of Ellen. If it's from the RPG game, The Witch's House. It is from the RPG game, The Witch's House. This must be an old one. Yeah, this is an old one. I've done this one before. You thought I was going to say I played the game before, didn't you? No, I have not. But I am aware about what this is. I've done a review in the past. Spooky's House of Jump Scares. Jesus Christ. For those of you who don't know Spooky's House of Jump Scares, you go through this endless door. Well, there's 1,000 floors, but you go through this door by door by door, very short, screen by screen, like super HD cartoony mansion. And as you go through, there are like these cutouts that flip out of nowhere, and those are like jump scares. They just flip out of the wall, and it's like bam, jump scare, bam, jump scare. And then every once in a while, you'll be chased by monsters. I think, well, there used to be like 4 monsters, but they've since updated it. So you'll run into monsters and everything else, and you'll have to run from them. You'll eventually get an axe, which allows you to attack like these little deers in specific places and things like that. But it's very cartoony and very almost memey type of thing. So Spooky's House of Jump Scares is not gonna be a very good concept. And like I thought, he pulled the guy that floats through walls. This particular killer, if it's the one that I think it is, he literally just follows you in a straight line. He floats through walls, over pits, and everything else, and he just floats towards you. When he gets close to you, he deals damage to you. The end. Let's see. Make sure he's the one that floats. Figured he'd pick a combination of them. Oh, well, yeah, okay, there you go. Because there's different sets. There's a guy that follows you that floats. There's one that is extremely fast. There's one that makes all the doors that you have to go through disappear and turn into walls, and you just have to kind of remember where the doors are. And the other one's a water monster, like an Amnesia. You can just see where he's stepping at in the water, and if you fall into the water, obviously, he takes that booty. All right. I'm not going to read all that. He floats off the ground like nurse. Small thing. So, oh, you redeemed yourself. Tunnel killer. Standard tear radius 32 meters. Standard speed, which is 4.6 meters per second. I prefer that over 115%, but I've done this long enough. What are we looking at? Power. Power. Pop-up scare. At the beginning of the trial, start with 15 pop-ups. Press and hold the power button to place one pop-up on the ground in its untriggered state. Setting a pop-up takes 2 seconds. Okay, so instead of letting behavior put pop-ups all over the map and just making it to where you can reset said pop-up, you're going to make it to where you have to walk over to an area and place a pop-up like Capcom from Rainbow Six Siege. Do you know how long that's going to take to put down 15 pop-up traps? No. You'd rather make it to where it can be placed at a distance. You just hold the button, you look at where, a place where one's available at. Obviously, survivors aren't going to be able to see the pop-ups that are already there until they're stat. But you look at it in a distance, he like holds up his hand or something magical, and then the pop-up resets. So you don't have to walk around placing pop-ups everywhere. You'll already be there, you just set them. and forget them. When a survivor comes within 4 meters of an untriggered trap, it will trigger and enter its open state, creating a loud noise notification. The pop-up trap remains for 4 seconds before entering its closed state. So once it's set, it opens and closes on its own. So it's literally just a set it and forget it. So now you have another problem. Because after you use this particular thing and you put it somewhere, it seems to be just stuck. So if I put things all the way around these particular walls and things like that, Survivor completes the generator in that area. All of those pop-ups are just going to chill there. Which kind of defeats the purpose. Plus, auto-resetting traps and things like that should be determined by an add-on. And a higher-up add-on, too. Like a rare or ultra-rare add-on to have them re-trigger and reset themselves. That should be way higher up of an add-on, and it shouldn't be there from default. You're taking the the play of the killer. I mean, nobody wants an automatic killer. You know, you spend all this time setting up traps, and after you set up traps, you're just a mouse one killer that runs around chasing people and go into areas where survivors trigger traps. Nobody likes that. I could be any other mouse one killer and still have, you know, a useful effect as opposed to relying on pop-up traps that I place to be triggered. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. When a pop-up trap is in its closed state, it has collision and can be broken by survivors running and performing a vault action into the trap, destroying it and returning it to the stock. If survivors decide to vault into it and break it, they can return your trap to you. My question is if the trap activates when a survivor comes within 4 meters, survivors run at 4 meters per second, by the way, the trap's going to activate before the survivor even gets close to your closed trap. So what you're saying is, it is long, there's a non-mentioned cooldown after a trap triggers after the 4 seconds, and that's when a survivor can destroy said trap. But after the trap is triggered, who in their right mind would ever destroy the trap after it's done? Once the trap goes off, the killer knows you're there and it doesn't matter. Just go to the gin, especially if they're chasing another survivor, then it doesn't matter. If they're not chasing another survivor and you start hearing a tear radius, then you know to skedaddle. So why would I take the time to give you a trap back that you can easily place somewhere else around a gin that, you know, hasn't been worked on, when I can not break any traps, and once I complete this generator, you have like 6 traps out of your 15 that you've placed around this area useless to you. Gone. Also, a bolt action into the trap is going to cause all kinds of bugs and glitches that I guarantee you behavior don't want to deal with. Just use the interactive method like everybody else uses. Survivor stands there and he like pulls the thing off the wall or something. That's the end of the animation. It's going to be as quick as vaulting, so you have like a 3-second animation of a survivor reaching up the sign and ripping it off the wall, window, wherever you can place it. Simple. Doesn't need any additional coding, just needs an animation put behind it. Very easy to do. It's got to be special ability. Formless. Pressing the alternative power button and he put out control. Just use whatever the button's called. Do not say mouse 1. You got your power button, your secondary action button, and I guess we're calling the alternative power button now. Either or, doesn't matter. While a pop-up trap is still open, will cause the specimen to morph into a traveled state and travel at 20 meters per second through walls towards the open trap. While in travel state, the specimen cannot attack. Once the specimen reaches the open trap, it will reform into default state. Why did you make that so long and just ridiculous to say you can teleport to open traps? Because you don't mention anywhere here that you can cancel this state. You're just stuck moving 20 meters per second towards a trap. Why not just make it a teleport? Traps triggered, you teleport the triggered trap like Hag, and you go about your day. Because that's all this is. It's just a more beefed up Hag, except for you're not going to be able to insta hit people like Hag can do if she's fast enough. Before I get into perks, this killer concept wasn't thought out enough at all. I would recommend who is this? Oh, it's Payman. Well, Payman, you need to sit down again, and I tell you this at least once a week. You need to sit down. You need to actually take the time to look at what you're doing, look over everything, rebalance everything, and actually make a usable killer. It's not OP this time, but it's very, very severely underpowered. Pop ups that create noise notifications aren't very good. This killer, by base, isn't very good. If you're going to make a weak killer like this, you need to have some impressive add ons, but scrolling down to add ons, as you can see, if you just skim over them, you're not really getting usability out of your add ons. All of this is just range of trap up, trap setting speed up, teleport speed up, aura reading, and things like that on traps, etc., etc. I generally want to look at the iridescent because that's going to be the most important thing. Your iridescent, your top add-on, increases the stock number of pop-up traps by 15. Pop-up traps automatically break when closed. So you're doubling your stock, but you're having your traps automatically break when closed. How is that a balanced iridescent perk? Now, something along the line that survivors that trigger traps get the exposed status effect, but you start with 5 less traps. Something like that is more balanced because once they trigger the trap, they are exposed and can go down in one hit. You instantly teleport to the trap, you chase the survivor, and if you can down them in, like, let's say like a 20-second timer or something, which should be more than enough time, you got an instant down from there. That's extremely powerful for Iridescent, but having 15 extra traps that you have to manually set that break after they've been activated, that's a pain in the ass, because every time they break that trap, you gotta walk your happy ass over there to set it. You can only teleport the traps that are open, that have been triggered. You can't teleport the closed traps. That would be something you could have added to this to strengthen it a little bit to where you can teleport at any time. The caveat being after you teleport, the trap, opens. and then it'll automatically reset itself when it's closed again. Or even just making it dumb like this. Just change the increases number of tags, add in that you can teleport to any type of trap whenever, and just break the trap when you teleport to it. So when you teleport to whatever trap you feel like it, you have to spend an additional 2 seconds, which is generally a cooldown time that killers experience after teleporting. Anyway, to replace the trap. Anything that makes sense. Iridescence should be strong, and both of your iridescence should go together. This doesn't. You have 15 increase in traps, and then you have reduced number of available traps by 10. So you would only be getting a positive of 5 traps that break when closed. Then on top of that, all pop-up trap ores are revealed to the specimen. So you're telling me that you don't even know where the traps are after you place them, and you have to mentally remember where all 15 trap ores are. What the for hell? What kind of BS is that? So I have to walk over the areas, put traps down, and I don't know where the traps that I set are. So I don't know which ones that have been activated. I don't know which ones that have been broken by survivors or any of that. I only know that a trap's there when it gets activated. Oof. A killer that can't see the ores of their own equipment. Oof. Let's see. Looking at a pop-up trap pressing the alternative action button makes the specimen teleport to the trap. Pop-up traps start and stay in the open state until a 6th one is placed, which destroys the first one placed. So you decreased the number of traps you can put by 10, which gives you 5 usable traps. 5. And then you made it to where you could teleport to them. Brother, you can't even cover all 7 generators in the map. That's why I said -5 when I mentioned the teleport before reading this. You need at least 7. I give you 10. That is 1 for each generator, and then there's 1 for generally each god pallet area. So if they do drop a god pallet, you know, there's 1 for kill shack. If you get ran through that loop all the time, there's 1 for any type of jungle gym or LT walls if you're weak against them. And there's 1 for god pallet anywhere on the map that's just going to be extremely detrimental to you. So basically god pallets in every generator is what I gave you traps for. You're only leaving them with 5, so they have to correctly guess which generators that they want to keep pressured, and they have to essentially do that. Pop-up traps start and stay in the open state. So they don't even jump scare people anymore. They're literally just teleportation things. In that case, why don't I just buy and play Freddy, who can teleport freely between generators? As opposed to losing the entire power of this killer and gaining the ability to teleport. I'd play Hag before I played this. Which I don't know why you didn't just look at Hag for inspiration when you're talking about traps and teleports and things like that. All of that's pre-balanced into the game via the Hag killer. Look at that. Open up a page, look at all the information she has to portray, and then make your killer kind of pseudo off of her. Don't copy her, but use it as a guide, as opposed to just leaving it like that. Oh boy, you bring in a survivor called Teenage Traveler. You couldn't even give them a fake name, brother. See what I'm talking about when I say you need to sit down and take more time. Literally could have called them John Doe. If you didn't have anything, give them some sort of name, not just teenage traveler. Anyway, perks, mask of personality. Action speed increases by 25% per living survivor further than 24 meters from your location. I don't think you realize what action speeds completely are. And that's per living survivor. So you can get a 75% increase in action speeds. Oh boy. So essentially, to make things just simpler for everybody who doesn't play Dead by Daylight that often, anything that you have to essentially walk up and press the interactor button on to make an action, literally any action in Dead by Daylight that requires that button is an action. That's healing, hooking, unhooking, doing gens, for example, chest, opening exit gates, sabotage actions, etc., etc. So you're essentially going to be doing everything 75% faster. Because when you do gens and Dead by Daylight, you're supposed to be spread out away from each other, doing separate gens because it's the most efficient. Problem here is, again, survive with friends. Think of every perk that's here and every thing that's listed here times 4. If you have 4 survivors moving at 75% speed, because they are farther than the very short 24 meters. The tail radius of the killer is 32 meters. So any survivor, let me put this into perspective for you. It is worth 6 seconds of running for a survivor. So any survivor that's not within 6 seconds of you will get this bonus. Not very far at all. That is a very big oofer. Skill checks appear 300% more often and move 15% faster. This is irrelevant. The only thing you've done here is created a skill gate for new players. That's it. Anybody that's played the game more than a month should be consecutively hitting skill checks over and over. Doesn't matter. That is irrelevant. Mask of Personality cannot stack with other action speed increasing perks. They don't need to. Most action speed increasing perks stop at like 15%. You got 75. Like, you've combined every perk together and then doubled the output. What do you mean it can't stack with others perks? Nobody's gonna run any more action speed perks with that. 300% more skill checks that happen 15% faster. That's nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. Explorative Urge. Standing within the killer's tear radius for a total of 60 seconds activates this perk. So you're telling me that you just have to be standing there doing absolutely nothing for 60 seconds. I assume it's accumulative and not just at one time. Why would you ever spend 60 seconds standing next to a killer and not putting that 60 seconds in a generator? After that, you got 20 seconds left on the generator if you just put that time there. When Explorative Urge is active for the next 60 seconds, reveal the auras of all killer. I thought it was memorable philia, not memorable. What the fuck is that word actually? Memorabilia? Memorabilia? I don't think that's the correct word. I don't even know if that is a word. Memorabilia? I don't know. That might be the correct word. Not a word that I use often. And hooks within 16 meters while moving. Defining killer, yeah. Uh, Pools of devotion, UC. Alarm clocks, UC. Jigsaw boxes, UC. Vaccines, UC. Tests, you do not see. So when you are affected by whatever killer perk or skill, their power that is hooked to said box, you see the auras of all of that because it's relevant to you at that moment. So the pools of devotion, not a very good thing because you see the pools of devotion as soon as you get sick from the plague. Again, as soon as you go into Freddy's dream world, you see the alarm clock that you can go through. Whenever you get a pig trap on you, you can see the jigsaw boxes. Whenever you get infected from Nemesis, you can see the vaccine chest. If you're running the perk that allows you to see regular chests, you can see the auras of chests, but chests aren't that important. The things that he should have mentioned that he didn't mention is things like the Demogorgon's upside down world locations that he can teleport from, the Trapper's traps, things like that that are actually important to see. However, instead of standing 60 seconds, there is Dark Sense, the perk, which acts like a radar where you're looking at. If you scan with your screen or your third person camera while you're running and you hear a ding, that means there's either a token or a killer's equipment there. Which I think they actually changed it. They separated them both into two. Totems are one thing and killer's equipment's another thing now. It tells you killer's location and every other stuff if you buy them. But if you hear the ding, you'll know that you're either looking at the killer or their equipment. So there's a trap or something else down. That works and actively resets fairly quickly. So why in the hell would I spend 60 seconds standing next to, well, near a killer? That don't make sense. This is almost a guarantee if you're going up against like a Legion or something that has that full ride terror radius. It's a guarantee. But how often are you going to run this perk and it not do anything? Like, what happens if you go up against a stealth killer or somebody who just doesn't have a terror radius? Then what are you going to do? It's a useless perk, and it's not even that good. I thought it was going to be something like stand 60 seconds within killer for like a super boost to doing generators, or it reactivates deactivated perks like decisive strike or something like that, or something, amazing. But no, to be able to see things that you already can see when you're already infected by whatever killer is, not very good. Anyway, Sinister Dwelling. While on a hook, press the secondary action button. I am going to say it. To channel evil desires. After channeling for 2 seconds, Sinister Dwelling activates until you open a chest. If you are unable to channel desires before being unhooked, Sinister Dwelling will activate upon being hooked a second time. Okay? The next time you open a chest while Sinister Dwelling is active instead of a normal item, it reveals a depreciated hand axe, limited item. While you have a depreciated hand axe, approach a breakable wall to perform a 5-second action to tear it down. Why would you ever want to break down a wall? Why? Why would you want to break down the breakable wall? The breakable walls are there to allow passage to and from areas for killers, but also keep the design the same. To have, maps that from the start, survivors can loop killer through efficiently. And as the killer takes out the breakable walls, they can open up other areas that they can quickly get back in the chase and down survivors with. The only way this would make any use, and you would have to activate it twice, mind you, is in Midwich to have access to the back stairway to go from the second floor to the back floor without having to go all the way across to the stairway. But I mean, there's pits and holes and everything else you can jump in that's right down the hallway. It just kind of gives you a place where you can hide because most killers don't kick that back stairway that's in the bathroom that leads up. You would have to get 2 activations of that perk. No. I don't know why a survivor would screw themselves over opening up a breakable door. And survivor's side, 90% of the time, there's a way to get around breakable doors. The only 2 maps that are kings of breakable doors, screwing killer and survivor over, is again Midwich and Gideon. But when it comes to Midwich and Gideon, as soon as you complete a generator, the entire wall opens up anyway. So, the breakable doors are only temporary. And if the killer comes through and decides to kick it, you're just giving the survivor another method of which they can access the generator, as opposed to keeping them, blocked in. But whether the breakable wall is there or not doesn't matter. It only takes like 2 seconds for a killer to walk around the wall. It's irrelevant. And if the gen's completed, they just walk beside it, and it doesn't matter if it's broken or not. And then that one area in Midwich. Other than that, you don't want to take out any type of breakable wall because that'll give you distance on killer when you use them. The terrible part. Again, this guy needs to just sit down and actually take some time to actually nurture his creation. If he was a father, he would be a complete and total failure. Grantillo the Witch from Banjo and Kazooie. This is going to be interesting. Good luck finding a license from Rare. I don't even know who owns them anymore. I guess probably it's just Nintendo now. Fucking Gruntilda. Gruntilda also has sisters, by the way. You probably could have incorporated more than that, but whatever. Um, how is it that you started this post, Pizza? The bio is longer than anything else. You got a bio here. Eh, I guess the powers and all of that. It's a little long. You got shit perks, though. I don't even have to go over them. I'm just skimming over these shit perks. Don't even fit with the Grantilda build. You didn't use the pot, really, to its effectiveness. You didn't use the broom that's here to its effectiveness. You didn't use the fact that Grantilda is a witch and a very strong witch that can turn things into other things. You didn't use that effectively. And then Payman comes in and essentially writes a decent amount of stuff. He spent more time on somebody else's post than he did his own. He even rewrote perks, everything else. He included witchcraft, everything else. How is it that Payman spends more time in somebody else's concept than his own goddamn thing? That's kind of one of the reasons where you tell, hey, Payman, shut up. Go back, do your own work. Don't worry about his work. All of these, oh boy, I'm not doing the psychopath rework. It's a Jeff the Killer concept. I'm not doing another one of those. No, thank you. Your Jeff the Killer idea is for an OP killer that gets 4 kills every time and just wipes lobby. I'm not doing another one of those. I know you would like me to, but no, I'm sorry. I can't. Ali Chips generally likes to lurk in the background. I respect it. Let's see what you got going on here. Name the Stargazer. Radius 25 meters, speed 4.3 meters per second. You could actually get away with 24 meters there. The rule of thumb that they set is 4 meters per point 0.1 speed. 25 is nice and rounded number though. I like it. But you could go decrease that to 24 and it'd be about the same. Let's see. Oh, we starting off with perks. 30 plus, over the moon. Life had meaning, but never to you. Looking beyond the point was all that matters. Now, I personally like seeing the killer's power first because the perks should be entombed to supplement that particular killer. And that's what a lot of people on the creation forum miss, which is why I prefer to see power first, so I don't have to scroll back up and look at perks as I'm looking at power and things like that. It's just readily available. I just went over the power for like an hour or two if it's a good review, or a couple of minutes if it's not very good one. It's fresh in my mind. I can scroll down. I can look at the particular vision of the killer that they have, and I can make that assessment whether or not these powers are actually, for this killer, or if they're just trying to pull the I'm gonna make a shit killer with amazing perks that covers my agenda of my actual main killer that I play. But I mean, I guess perks are fine first. I'll just have to probably just scroll back up and keep doing the up down method. There's a survivor and all of that too. Perk 1. Upon a generator completion, the survivor that completed it gains an effect. The next time that survivor begins to work on a generator, it requires an additional 25% more progress. 25% is 20 seconds. Yeah, it's a fourth of 80. So an extra 20 seconds is going to be added on the next gen. This will work pretty good for anybody that's solos, like me, for example. This is a direct counter to me because all I do is go gen to gen to gen to gen. But instead, what I would have to do is I would have to do a gen and then go and take chase. Because after I do a gen, there's going to be 20 seconds to do another gen. So there's no point. The problem, well, let me finish this out first. If the survivor who has completed the gen before works with another survivor, they will scream instead of adding progress. So he did fix the obvious glaring thing in front of him is, what if you go to work with the gen and another survivor? Adding 10 seconds in isn't very savvy there. So he did fix the glaring problem, and that is a very nice foresight to have. Other problem you're gonna have is survive with friends. It always comes down to survive with friends. Because if they know that you have this perk, which also should have a timer on it, by the way, you should make it to where they either can stay off of the gin for X amount of time, or they can go ahead and go work on another gin directly after, and it just adds time. So I would have, excuse me, it's going to be balanced, but at this time, I'm just going to make like a sliding bar. Let's say 16 seconds in between generators. Yeah, let's just say 20 seconds. It's 20 seconds all the way there. So 20 seconds is what we're shooting for. Let's say it takes about 10 seconds to go within generator. So yeah, about a 30-second timer. After completing a generator, this perk activates for 30 seconds. In that 30 seconds, if a survivor interacts with a generator, the remainder of that timer gets added to that generator. If they don't interact with the generator for the 30 seconds, then they hop on the generator and the perk does nothing. So you still achieve the same amount of time, being the 20 seconds of hopping on a gen immediately and the timer going up. But you can also, they can go around, do whatever they need to do, get totems, open chests, and all of that, and not be penalized 20 seconds after that. Because that's going to suck if you complete a gen. Well, I mean, just by base, you're going to have at least 2 gens completed. The next thing that I would like to talk about is what about the reverse of this? The survivor who's completed a gen before works with another survivor, they'll scream. What if 2 survivors complete 1 generator? Do they each get half the time, or are they each affected with this perk? Because if that happens, generally Dead by Daylight spawns 2 or more people together and they work on the gen. So 2 people generally work on 1 gen, 1 person works on the other gen. Those 2 complete the gen. Boom. If they're both affected with that perk, you just got 40 more seconds added on overall. The other person completes their gen, that is 60 seconds of gen time added in the future. Not to mention if there's ruin or something like that else going on. So this perk is going to scale out of control very quickly. So that's 60 extra seconds added to the overall timer of just completing 2 gens if they stack gens. Then from there, the 2 people that are running, well, one's probably going to go for an unhook at that point, and the other 2 are going to go work on other generators. From that time, as they're completing generators, they're going to complete the generator, and then they're going to get another 20 seconds at it. And then the other guy is going to get another 20 seconds at it. By then, there's 44 generators done. There's 1 final generator done. So at that point, or Jesus, why do I keep saying point? At that time, the only way to really counter this is to, well, survive with friends. They're going to stack generators. They're all going to stack on a generator. They're going to complete it. Then they're all going to work together on the next generator to, go into a generator. So they just scream instead of adding in progress. But that in turn is 4 seconds plus travel time on each other generator, which I made a whole scale list and everything else about survivor stacking on generators and how much time it significantly increases the entire process. But most of this can be taken care of if you just add in either a token system to where you need to do a specific action to get this effect applied to a survivor, like kicking a generator or something like that, hooking on a scourge hook, things like that. There's also a couple of other things that need to be looked at. I'm actually not going to say them. I'm going to see if you can go through and find the other two things that I'm thinking of right now. If you sit and think about it, it actually becomes kind of obvious if you think about playing against this pike yourself. Because think about it from a gen rush standpoint, then think about it from a standpoint of you're the only one doing generators in your survivor teams. Screwing around. Think about it from a gank squad standpoint, and think about it of playing with random standpoint. Take all of those results should be similar, and then apply that to a survive with friends, regular squad that plays together, and you'll see a huge discrepancy that pops out between the two, and you'll be like, oh shit. I'm not going to tell you the answer to that one, but there are two additional things. One is an obvious exploit here, and the second is a problem that you're going to have, especially if you incorporate new people into the equation, which I haven't even done yet. So that's another avenue you can take to balance this a little bit better. I definitely wouldn't leave it at a survivor doing something and getting punished for doing it, aka completing generators. I would make it to where killer has to push to get this extra time scale. Because I mean, even Ruin at its best generally doesn't push that hard on survivors that are knowledgeable about the game and actually do gens and stick them. But that perk can be quite the good perk, but you don't want it to be in a position to where it can be either exploited or on the other side, super OP for survivors that are actually doing the job. Perk 2. Observer. Studies and works tend to get in the way of what you missed. Whenever a survivor picks up an item, the chest that was searched is highlighted for 3 seconds upon. The Twins has a chest perk, right? Right? I don't remember what it does, but I'm pretty sure it's a decent enough perk that bum, 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 bum. Order. Probably should have just clicked on Hoarder. Yeah. Order triggers a loud noise notification for 4 seconds whenever a survivor performs any of the following actions within 64 meters of your location, which is huge. Unlocks a chest or picks up any item. Order spawns 2 additional chests in the trial. So, you get 64 meters of if any survivor unlocks a chest or even picks up an item. Or even if you run this with like Franklin's Demise or something, it can scale with other perks. And it spawns 2 additional chests to try and entice survivors into opening up chests. Whereas your perk, whenever a survivor picks up an item, the chest that was searched is highlighted for 3 seconds upon when a survivor enters a 10 radius of it. Hey, what's going on, Galanonim? I can't believe it. I've got free weekend. He's got a free weekend. The man's gonna go crazy. Oh my. Sad thing is overworked and everything as you are, you're probably just gonna end up just taking a nap for the most of the day. Hopefully you don't, but that's what happens to me. When I get time free, I end up sleeping the whole day. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by as always. But yeah, Observer gets trumped by Hoarder easily in this situation. I really don't have any fixes because I mean I only played the twins during public test beta, so that's the only reason I know anything of that perk. I don't really deal with chests and things like that often because I mean I don't really search chest unless I am injured or something and just looking for a quick heal because I'm not running any heal perks. That's about the only time I look at a chest for a medkit or challenge. So I don't know what to tell you there. What you got planned for the weekend, Galanonim? Hex, beyond the stars, meaning in life is the same as it was in death. One token gained upon hitting 3 unique survivors. Upon token gain, 10% increase POV. Upsetting, but okay. 2 token gain upon breaking kicking 4 gens. So you can't use this perk with Ruin, or you're not going to be able to max that out. Gotcha. Upon token increase, breaking speed by 15%. Don't know about that one. That's kind of weak. 3 token gain upon hooking 3 unique survivors. Upon hooking, all survivors suffer a 10% increase in hook timer. I think you meant decrease in hook timer. You don't want to increase it. That means they can stay on hook longer. And I think I understand what you're saying. It takes 2 minutes, 120 seconds. It would decrease your timer by 12 seconds. And still not very strong. 4 token gained upon sacrificing 1 survivor, and if all other tokens are gained, upon token gain, all survivors share the same hook timer. Now we're talking, except for if you run Ruin, you have gated yourself from getting the 4 token activation. Other problem is it's only on sacrificing 1 survivor. It would make sense if it was on sacrificing of 2 survivors, because, well, it gets annoying towards the end. It would just be kind of a cleanup perk to where you can hook a survivor and then the other survivor, can lose that state and make it to where you can just drop them once and send it on the way. Um, I understand what you mean by sharing hook timer, but this can be misconstrued that if 1 survivor's hook timer runs out, the rest die as well, which would be a very interesting Undertaker killer power, which somebody had an Undertaker killer. There's actually 2, because somebody posted their Undertaker killer on somebody's Undertaker killer, and neither one of them thought of a good thing like this to where you're the Undertaker, the carer of death, making hook timers share, Whenever 2 survivors go to the second stage, all survivors take a hook state or something like that. Something just ridiculously crazy. Because their Undertaker builds were extremely underpowered and needed a huge buffing. I will probably try to finish Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, DLC, or Celeste. Ooh, if you're going for Celeste, boy, you might need more than a weekend. I played that game. Well, you might be a prodigy at it. I have a concept written down poorly. Maybe I'll put some time tomorrow and I'll make it into a chapter. Leave it to you to want to work on something else on your off time, eh? It's not so bad. I mean, I've seen some people that are good at it. I played a little bit of it, so I probably would have gotten better in time, but that game, ooh. But I saw tracks. like on how it was gold. It was pretty brutal. Have you seen the task bot? There was a task bot that beat Celeste. It was a ridiculous run, and I watched it. And I shouldn't have watched it because I felt real bad after watching it on how slow I used to play that game because that task bot was ripping and tearing through that game. Obviously, they used a couple of they were like iframe like things to where you could go through spikes and other things like that. But yeah, if you do have the extra time and you're interested in that type of thing, watch the task bot beat Celeste. It was a all strawberry run too, or whatever it is that you pick up, I'm pretty sure as well. Done by a task bot. Very quick, very fast, and very interesting to see some of the moves that you can pull out. Do recommend watching though. This part needs more juice. Like I understand that you want to get tokens gains and everything like that, but I mean, hitting survivors, kicking gens, and then hooking 3 out of 4 survivor once, it's like it's very simple and it's going to happen naturally. You don't have to try for this, you don't have to do anything like that. You just need to play the game and you'll eventually get all of this naturally. Kicking gens is probably the hardest thing to do there. And because it's a natural thing and it makes all the survivors share a hook timer at the 4 token game, I can't really say that it's very savvy for the game. For sure, the most deaths I gain when I try to get a strawberry. Yup. But some of the ways they grab the strawberries is just kind of ridiculous. And you're like, you can do that? This targets the lowest hook timer bar. You can only have one of these totems. If totem is cleansed, set hook timer to previous process they had before shared. Then what's the point of running this? It's easy to get, but if they destroy the totem, then all the hook process has just been reset. Why? Also, I have to bring up a classic example of this perk being the basement camping Bubba. If a basement camping Bubba goes out and uses the beginning of the game to get these tokens and then grabs somebody and takes them into the basement, then that's super strong if they manage to pull that off. So you might want to make this a little bit harder to achieve for any killer that's a tunneler or anything like that. Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to complete this and then they're going to tunnel somebody out. Once their timer ends, they know as soon as they down survivors, if they have a Mori, they can just Mori them out. Since all hook timers are shared. Complete this, grab the survivor, let him get to a second hook timer. Once his second hook timer is done, you have no more need for him. Then you can go out and Mori every other survivor in the game. If you're running Pyramid Head or something like that, you don't even have to run a Mori. You can just run Pyramid Head, get this. If they stepped in your trail, boom, Mori. So this is it's too easy to get for the what you can do with it. I would make it probably less token gains, but make it extremely harder to gain tokens. Or some form of rebalancing with the 4 token system. I find it interesting, though, that it targets the lowest hook timer bar when this activates, though. Because you would think it says 4 token gain upon sacrificing 1 survivor, etc., etc. You would think that it would give up. There's the bots. They finally came in on time. When I was waiting on your bots, I'd had like almost 2 hours worth of content. Well, an hour and a half worth of content out before that. I missed many strawberries when I was running from my reflection. Yeah, that game gets wild. That game gets very, very wild. I would love to say I remember the reflection part and all of that, but I didn't make it that far. And that task bot just blew through everything. Share the same hook timer would be pretty brutal. And after a few seconds, you're dead. Yep. It forces you to go get unhooks and things like that because, well, it doesn't really matter. You know, once they get to the second stage, everybody's borked anyway. And that's what's so powerful about this. But I don't know. It's just kind of double flawed too, because you have to sacrifice a survivor to get the 4th token. And then it latches on to whoever has the least amount of a hook timer bar left. But you would think after sacrificing the survivor, the hook timer would go off for that sacrifice survivor with 0 hook time, making the rest of the lobby have no more hook time. So I said I would love to see like Hex Pentimento or something like that add in an effect like that. If you manage to get all 5, totems lit, all survivors share the same hook timer. Because that's something that's balanced correctly, and survivors have to break totems to give you your power. By the way, you for sure heard about the situation in Ukraine. Yeah, yeah. I think everybody's heard about it, even if they didn't want to hear about it, they heard about it. It is all the rage right now. Ability and passive of the killer. Passive, the star sight, almost like the spirit mode of the spirit. Your screen is completely gray. You don't see scratch marks. Auras are revealed 1.5 seconds longer than you. Blood trails are brighter. It's literally just perks. All of these abilities that you are saying are perks. Perks for this perk, that perk, everything else. Again, you want your killer to be weakest as they are by base. You want add-ons and other perks to make the build that your killer uses. You don't want your killer to be great right from the gate, or it defeats the purpose of, incorporating your killer. If I have a killer that I don't need to run perks or add-ons on, because they have all of these basic abilities, then people aren't going to want to play against that killer. It has no weaknesses. There go the phone. It'll have no weaknesses. It'll have all the perks that it needs to accommodate it, or accommodate it, built into it. And that's, inherently bad. So instead of having this passive ability that is just a whole bunch of other perks that they would run like as a spirit or anything like that, why not just run Strider and everything else to assist you in the aura reads and all of that? Fun kicking a generator. Gain the ability to hear generator sounds for 30 seconds. Sound is louder and enhanced. Upon hitting a survivor, hear grunts and breathing for 30 seconds. Breathing is louder by 25%. Yeah, this is just other perks. Cannot be reactivated once started and can only be used after 30 seconds and a 15-second cooldown. General lasts 30 seconds with 15 seconds cooldown. Or this is just your perk, one of the perk builds that you could run here. And again, all of these are just perks. Now we're getting into the actual powers and special abilities and all of that. This is also why I would like to see the ability of the killer and the power of the killer before I see the perks. Because all this is a listing of perks here, and then you have a listing of perks here. It would be literally an all perk killer. Every ability, everything else is indicative to another perk in the game. Let's see what else we got. The ability of the Stargazer. Celestial Ranch. 10 on miniature orb upon release, lob it ahead of you. Travels as long as you hold the ability button. When letting go, it stops in its position. This cannot be fired through walls, nor can it go through them, but will reveal through walls just as fine, as well as floors and ceilings. Does not reveal survivors in locker, does go through survivors. Hmm. The first question is, how fast does it go? I see that it lobs ahead of you, but it says that it travels as long as you hold the ability button. So my main thing here would be, how fast does it go? Do you just throw it and it just zooms like, like a crow or a raven from the artist? Or is it like this slow moving orb or something like that? Second thing, how long does it last? I assume all of that's going to be put down there. Well, no, because this is all about pulse sonar, so never mind. How long does it last? How many can you have at one time? Etc., etc. I can probably, well, the how many you can have at one time is probably answered down there. Definitely should be answered down there. But would be nice to see this up here too, to see how many orbs you can have out. If you can have multiple orbs out, that's an obvious problem because, well, survivors aren't going to be able to run loops because they're going to be revealed from that orb. I mean, you sit the orb on the other side of a wall and then you loop the survivor. As they try their fakes and everything like that, you're going to have them marked. So, it's not really going to work out for them that well. I have active experience with that because Ghostface's perk, I'm all ears. I get a lot of downs using that. Survivor thinks they're faking you and all of that, but you can see what they're doing. So when they do all of their fakes, you either hop through the window or walk around the side they're on and just slap them. The only time it hasn't been successful for me is if that person is very, very good at loops. I'm talking about they look at the stain to make sure you ain't faking. They see your location at all times. They move around and adjust according to what the killer's doing and all of that. But when I'm playing Ghostface, I have no stain or anything like that to go on. So by the time I show myself, I'm already at the edge of the wall and they don't have enough reaction time. Read down to the list of this just to see. Your special ability is Pulse Sonar. Button activates waves of energy up to 4.3 radius. That's a little over 1 second of survivor running time. 3 times delay between waves or 1.2 seconds. That reveals survivors or nearby gens, chests, and boon totems. With a cooldown of 35 seconds before it can be used again. So you press the button, you get 3 pings that happen 1.2 seconds for each other. So it's bing, 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 and then it goes on cooldown for 35 seconds. Can be refired with no delay, but can only have 1 out at a time. So I assume that's only 1 orb that can be out at a time. But the orb can be fired out with no delay and infinite amount of times. Travels at 5 meters per second, can be used while moving as well. There you go. Move speed's 5. Well, this should be with the actual orb, and then the sonar should be with itself, but it doesn't matter. And Galanonim, I don't know if you sent any more messages, but YouTube might have just taken every message that you sent after you said something about the situation in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure YouTube just ate all those messages. Uh, Rip, unless you were typing an extremely long message, I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube censored something like that, honestly. Let's see. So you can shoot out 1 orb, and you can keep shooting it out as much as you need to, but you can only have 1 orb. You get a ping of radar every 35 seconds. Nah, I didn't write anything after that. Alright. Because I was like, man, you asked me about the situation and then it all just disappeared. YouTube's clapping. Which, I mean, it's not anything new for you having YouTube censor all of your messages, honestly. This particular power, I mean, it's good for. Had to put my sauce in the fridge. You know. You know. This skill is good for loops. However, you can only have 1 orb out, so you're only going to be able to see one side of the loop unless you actively move said orb as you play. So it's going to be a lot of faking, putting down orbs and everything else, and it's going to be a lot of active movement. And you honestly aren't going to get a lot from that. But my main question is the sonar is 4.3 meter radius. Is that the only time that it can read and pick up survivors and all of that? Or is that just a special that shoots out from the orb every once in a while to pick up extra things? Because if the orb itself can pick up survivors that are within, you know, X amount of meters as well, it would be stronger. But if I can only get a read every 35 seconds of 4.3 meter radius, that's a very terrible power. You would want to see this. If I have to wait 35 seconds, you're going to want like almost like a 32 meter radius where you can see anything that's essentially within your tier radius at that time. Because even if you see them, you're still going to have to make it to them and find them and pressure them. So you're going to want a lot more radius waiting 35 seconds in between uses. I would either decrease the cooldown to like, well, you would want it to be like 2 to 5 seconds. So make an add-on to decrease it to be like 2 to 5 seconds and make it slightly weaker, like 8 to 10 seconds. If you want to keep it at the 4.3. Because that's all you got is radar. You got radar, and then you're a mouse one killer after getting that radar in sight. Sight ain't the end all be all. If you're a bad killer and have sight, unfortunately, it's not gonna help you. Add-ons. We'll stop and look at the iridescent add-ons, I suppose. Piece of a black hole. Not gonna question it. You can no longer activate the pulses of celestial reach, but instead you can recall it towards you from wherever you are. Every 2 seconds, it pulses automatically. Decrease the range of celestial reach by 0.5 seconds. Decrease speed by 0.7 seconds. But this just makes it to where you would obviously want it to be a further thing. Obviously, every 2 seconds and getting that in 16 minutes is kind of BS, so it's going to have to be an extended timer between pulses, maybe like 15 seconds. You know, leave the other one at like 30 seconds or whatever it was and make the other one or this one a half as long, but you're losing speed of the orb and radius of the orb and all of that to kind of rebalance that. Um, Card, the Hangman. Your passive has an additional 50% in all noise enhancement. See, that's not good. That's not good. And hitting a survivor direct with Celestial Reach injures them. Both of your iridescence should combo together. If you're decreasing the speed and all of that, you're not going to be able to get those hits as easy. So I would recommend dropping this way down. This is not an iridescent level thing, and bringing an iridescent thing that combos with this, but is also good if used on its own. Of a black hole, it doesn't sound like a safe thing to keep since it'll just be a small black hole that would keep increasing in size. I know, right? It'd eat the killer. And then it would eat the realm, eat the entity, eat everything. But I don't know. Everything there is made out of the entity's body, so I guess it would be kind of like a pseudo. Oh, God. Oh, God. Never mind. I'm not even going to finish that statement. Oh, no. You're carrying around the entity's black hole. Then we have a survivor called Ben Starr. Occupation ex-astronaut. The entity. Who the hell brought that here? That's not how things are supposed to be. Description. Previous space pilot who glanced upon a sight that was beyond imaginable. Using this knowledge, he can use what he learned from above to below with 3 perks: No Way Home, Vacuum, and Fade Off. A sight beyond imagination. But he used this knowledge of the sight that he seen that was beyond his imagination. He used that though. Is part of his perks. Um Friend, I don't think you know what beyond imagination or beyond imaginable as he says, but beyond his particular imagination works. But I digress. No Way Home. Far from you want to be and what you would want to see one last time. After taking 3 hits, the next time you would be put into a dying state, you suffer a 30-second mend, aka deep wound status effect. 30 seconds to mend time. Problem there is There's something called Metal of Man, that after you take, I think it's 3 protection hits on another survivor, you get an extra protection hit. There is Soul Guard. After you get picked back up, you get the endurance status effect for a little bit. There's Borrowed Time. Once you get off of a hook, you get that status effect. I do not think that you should get the endurance effect because you were bad at the game. There's Dead Hard and a whole bunch of other different perks. There's pallets and all kinds of other. I mean, there's Get Good Scrub that you can use as well in this particular situation. No, we're not going to award you an extra hit because you suck at the game and keep getting clapped. About you just learn to play the game better and do the proper research and learn the tactics and everything instead of that. Again, another person trying to incorporate a perk because they don't have enough hours in the game. Perk 2, Vacuum. Whenever you would scream, it is 99% quieter. Or you can run, what is it called? Nature's Embrace. That is a 100%. You resist the urge to scream. You never scream with that perk. And it makes it to where the crows on the map aren't activated by you. Already a perk in the game that's already outdone you. This comes down to my regular point. If you just look at the forum and perks, bam bam, type in scream. Calm Spirit, that's what it's called. Suppresses the urge to scream from pain at all times. Anytime that you would scream, thank you, Calm Spirit. Anytime that you would scream, ever, it's decreased. 100% odds of alerting nearby crows. So if the killer doesn't bring, infectious fright, or if it's in a doctor or something that would make you scream, you still have the crows not being activated as a secondary. This perk is kind of an underrated perk because nobody ever runs it, but everybody complains when they're nonstop screaming. It's kind of funny. 40 plus. Fade off. The day you get caught, it's over. You won't let that happen. Whenever you are revealed while working on a gen, gain the ability to block it for 25 seconds. Pretty sure Vigil does that. I'm pretty sure. No, 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 no. This ain't the right one. Vigil's the other one. What is the name of the yeah. Yeah. I'm all over the place with my perks today. It's not that one, this one. You know. You know. Whenever the killer attempts to read your aura, distortion activates and a token is consumed. Your aura will not be shown to the killer, and you will not leave any scratch marks for the next 10 seconds. There you go. There you go. Definitely a forgotten Jeff perk. I don't think I've ever ran this perk, which makes sense because I didn't even remember. I mean, I remembered it existed, but I didn't remember what it was called. Wait, 4 tokens, it got buffed? I guess so. I guess so. That or I was looking at an outdated version of it. I have no idea. I can go back and check though. Mr. Jeff? Nope. Version 5.5. It got buffed to 4 tokens. Look at there. So yeah, I did get buffed. They didn't fix the off the record problem with it, but hey, they got buffed. 1 extra token. Also, you do not need 25 seconds worth of aura blocking. This is again how I know you didn't check the form. To my knowledge, there is rarely, if anything, that reads auras for 25 full seconds. The most common things you want to block is, the essentials, barbecue and chili, things like that. Uh, Blocking discordance. It's probably the only use of this particular perk. If 2 people are working, it takes 44 seconds to complete a generator. You can block 25 of that. That's about the only use that I actually see of that beats disruption. But I mean, it's still only beating it by, what, 15 more seconds or something like that. But yeah, just run disruption. So that is all 3 perks that are on a survivor that are literally already implemented into the game. This person probably just added in a random survivor and put some random crap down. He's like, oh, well, what's space words? No Way Home's a good movie or a good space reference. Okay, let me make something like that. Vacuum, there's no sound in space. I'm going to make something off of that and then fade off. I'm going to make something based off the word instead of looking at the particular killer and making a survivor that stands up against that killer well. Killer's perks should supplement the killer. Survivor and survivor perks should sort of counter the killer, or at least go with the theme of said killer and the theme of which everything is going together. It's not a very good mix of things. This whole concept is not tied together, which is what is creating this situation here. But I mean, all in all, it's not a bad concept. So, Lee, not bad, not bad. If that's you. Well, if you are lurking in the background like usual, it's not bad. Just a couple of things to look at, possibly change. How much time are we at? We are at 1 hour and 48 minutes. Hopefully I can find like a short one to go over. He got banned. Not surprised. That's how he got banned. He pulled a picture and didn't sign who made the picture. Mandy Talks clapped him. You're done, son. Always list your sources if you're gonna place pictures. Oh man, he has 2? Oh no. Oh no, he used it. Yep. Easiest way to get clapped. Google Images banned again. Yep. That is the dumbest thing ever. If you don't put down that you got your things from Google Images, oh, well, we're taking your post down. Next time we're banning you. You're not giving proper credit to Google. How dare you? Like, Google doesn't even give proper credit to people. What are you talking about? Um, Nightmares of Fear. My eyes. It's like a book or something? Oh no, that's okay. I understand what that is. That's a lot of killers that I've went over in the past. And he's just conglomerating them into one thing. The Vision, Samara from the bit from The Ring. We've already got Sadako from The Ring. Why? Why? Oh, this is a post from 2018. Gotcha. Somebody went all the way back. All the way back. Probably searching The Ring or something like that. And brought something back from the dead in 2018. You realize that something listed in 2018 isn't going to make the cut for something that is in 2022. Everything has changed, adapted since then. So, no, I don't even have to go over this to tell you that it's not going to fit in with today's things. So, why bring this back from the dead instead of just taking it, reworking it, and then bringing it back today? You know, modernizing it. Modernizing. Modernizing. Huh. Bringing it up to date. And then resubmitting it instead of being lazy and just pulling it from the dead and being like, oh, look at my stuff again. I'm going to click on it just to kind of wipe it out. As you can see, rip. Adam and Jeff onesies. I really don't want to see this, but whatever. Yep, it's as bad as I thought it was going to be. My God. Why? I thought I was going overboard thinking it was going to be something like that. But no, I was right on the money. Why? I've seen in this post teleport the broken TV. She got that right. Yeah, I've seen that it is similar to Sadako and all of that. Oh my god, what are we watching today? Yeah. And I thought, I was going off the wall. I was like, it's gonna be like some kid onesie or something like that on a grown man. I don't want to click on it. And what did I see? A dinosaur onesie or a fish or whatever that was on a grown man. How come I just knew? I've been on this forum for this long that I just knew. There are just some things that you should not do. Another predator concept. Oh boy, there's one. There's two. Can I get a third one? Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. I see how he got banned now. I see exactly how he got banned now. How you deserved that one, brother. Really? You're gonna fight with Mandy Talks? She's gonna clap you nonstop. He was the one in the past that was warned from the ghost face thing that he posted way back when. And then he just posts 9 pictures back to back in the forum. All right, brother. My God. There are things that are more scarier than the killer's entity in this whole realm. A banned speedrun. Family photo. Mm-hmm. Fear of God. um, Sadako, I'm assuming. The spirit and the Oni, they are not a family. What a weird, like very weird family type build. The Great Demonetizer with Old Man and Ghost. I don't know, Spirit. I don't know what she is, honestly. Spoiler warning. Another step up in Spirit fanry. Okay, guy. We already have 4 killers from East Asia. That's racist. What the fuck? Trickster, Oni, Spirit, and Sadako. We need different regions: Africa, Middle East, South America, East Europe, etc. That's racist. Don't do that. Actually, look up where they're from and their folklore and all of that. Jesus Christ. Just because it's from overseas doesn't mean it's from East Asia, goddammit. Fan chapter Trials of the Damned. There you go. Here's a short one. Oh boy. 32-meter tear radius, tall, 4.6 meters per second movement speed. What was the date on this? February 18th. So this was after all of the Sadako and all that stuff information was released. And he really named himself the Condemned. I've actually already went over this. I think I stopped and did the same thing the first time I went over this. Yes, I have. I've already went over this. Why is it back? I guess somebody else commented and brought it back up. I've already done that. Let's try another one. Boon concept. Extra cooperation. If this is boon leadership or something. Boon, extra cooperation. You know, cooperating with others makes everything faster, so you will do it. Boon. Survivors inside Boon Totem's range benefit from the following effects: 25% bonus to all actions when cooperating with another survivor. Stacks. 100% bonus blood point gains for cooperative actions. We've joked about Boon leadership and Boon all of that. We've joked about it, making it into one. I've even made, kind of quips and small type of jabs at behavior as a company for making Boon unbreakable. Like, what's next? Boon leadership? But no, you're not going to be able to actually incorporate something like this. It's a meme, it's a joke. So let me, it takes like 14 seconds to boon a totem. I want to say off the top of my head, Dbd boon totem time. Yes, 14 seconds. In that 14 seconds that it takes you, well, first you have to run around and find boon totem. Then you have to spend 14 seconds on boon totem. Then after that, you have to run to a generator. So you have to find a totem near a generator, boon it, then go work on the generator. And at that time, you aren't going to get any value unless another survivor is already there. So, by the time you do all of that to get this 25% bonus speed, you could have just put that time into the generator and gotten the same value, which is one of, yeah, noob totem. Exactly. It's one of the reasons why you can't implement this. This is why we joke about it and make it a meme, like the pig being the worst killer in the game. It's memes and things like that, you know, it's jokes. Ha ha ha. In parentheses. By the time you get this down, it's not gonna work. The only way I see you getting any value out of this is in like Gideon and Midwich. Because it's dual layered. You could probably hit multiple gens with one boon totem. So if everybody's working on, you know, gens in an area, you plop that down somewhere hidden, it covers multiple gens. Then you have everybody just run in and start knocking out gens. Other situation is a 3 gen situation. You need to get the gen done fast as possible. The killer's gonna be camping in between them. You plop a boon down that covers the generator. Everybody gang bangs the hell out of that generator, and then you all get out as quick as possible. But throughout the game, unless you're following, you know, an SWF or something like that, and you can call out the generator that you're at, finding a survivor that's heading towards already at a generator, putting down the boon totem, and going and helping on that generator is pointless. And if you run this boon, you're having to run another boon, like Circle of Healing or something like that, to even get any value out of this boon totem or perk. So you're guaranteeing that you're going to be running at least 2 boon perks minimum. So you've already kind of uppercutted yourself in perk uses. And if you run 2, most people say, screw it, if I'm running 2, let's run 4. And they run all 4. It's a meme. Leave it at that. No need to do the crazy. But anyway, that is 2 hours. I have done at least a something for the day. Thank anybody stopping by. Generally, I don't do Dead by Daylight creation reviews on Twitch or anything like that. This is kind of a one-off thing. If anybody does watch this on Twitch, feel free to stop by youtube.com/the QTASTIC. Same name on Twitch minus the underscore in the middle. I do these every day for the most part. Well, not here recently. But I do these a lot of the days of the week. And I try to stay semi-regular on them unless I get busy or something like that. If I ever get busy, I try to make a stream, either a longer stream that covers multiple days, or I try to do a stream like late at night or earlier in the morning or something to make up for it. But I try to make up for it in some way. You could do it more often. This is true. I remember for a while there, I was doing it every day at the same time. But the everydays, unfortunately, nobody's really picked up on the form anymore like it was in the past. Like back when it was around Halloween, I had reviews for to do, and they were flooding in back to back to back to back. Now it's beginning year and all of that. Nobody really has that creative juices flowing anymore. So it's kind of like, whoop. But Jesus, how to check Twitch and YouTube chat at the same time, another application. So my basic setup is I use OBS connected with Restream. Restreams allows you to stream at different things at once. All the chat then runs through Restream and gets sent to my Discord. and then the restream chat stays up on my screen because I can actually stream to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. I can stream to anything that has a streaming platform actually that has a key, a stream key, and a site to go through. I can stream to every single site at once. I think this particular plan that I'm on allows me to stream up to 20 different platforms for free, and then up to 100 for a small fee. For free, I can stream 20 different platforms at the same time. All the chat goes through my restream at once, then it's posted to my Discord just in case somebody says something stupid and I have to report them to, the proper authorities. So, it's not a bad setup. I do recommend Restream. You do have to go through and delete. This stream is made with Restream.io from most of your video descriptions, though. Or you're going to be like me and just don't care about them. But I hope that answers your question. And anybody else that's thinking about streaming, you have Streamlabs, which is very much better than OBS. I would definitely recommend Streamlabs OBS over regular OBS, like I'm reading. Regular OBS, you have to set up everything. Streamlabs, they have the donation counters and all the other plugins and things that you can just go to a site, download, and then implement into your overlay. It's very easy to do. However, I'm not a huge streamer, and OBS is a lot easier to get around and use than Streamlabs. And I really don't want to keep up with all the Streamlabs crap. But I mean, if I ever wanted to do the paid video, you laugh, you loses, and things like that, I would have to download Streamlabs. Or any other type of fun implemented content. But anyway, as always, thank you anybody for stopping by, and as always, supplement your lifestyle, and I will see you maybe later on this evening. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the second stream for the day. It's been getting real cold at nighttime, but we shall see.